Arend is a guy from Holland, Netherlands. I teach Systema to adults and kids. I do that full time, and I'm practicing for some years now. My main teachers are Michael Riapko and Vladimir Vasiev. They are really my main teachers. I started in 2004 with Michael Riapko, and from the first moment I met him, I was already sold. A really good experience with him in that training, and from there I went to Moscow, trained for him a week with him, and was one of the best experiences in my life, and that changed my whole life. I asked him there to maybe start a training group, and he was okay with that, and that's how the whole journey started. I didn't want to start teaching, but I wanted to start practicing, and like I think many people do, and that's the reason why I started the group in Holland. And I love teaching also, to be honest. When I teach, I learn, so it's one of my passions. So I do martial arts almost all my life. I think from the age of 4 or 5 I did judo. Of course, as every boy in Holland, they do soccer. I did soccer after that, and when I was about 10 years old, I started with Tai Jitsu. I started to doing that because I lived in the 80s. Breakdance was getting in. I was doing breakdancing, and we were doing fighting in the street. And one of my friends could fight really well. He did high kicks and stuff like that. I thought that looked very fancy, and I want to be as fancy as him. So that's how my whole martial arts journey started. To make a long story short, I tried to find out what fits more my profile, and from there I found, in one day, I found this art, and from there I started doing it.
Why were you training Pencak Silat, right?
Yeah, I did Pencak Silat for many years. I don't know exactly how many years, more than 10 years. I did competition fighting in that, demonstrations like kata kind of things for a long time. And sometimes you had contests with all weight classes. And the problem that I had in my weight class, I was not that heavy. And if I was fighting against a heavier guy, for me it was less effective with the rules of the fighting in Pencak Silat. So I started my journey to looking at all the martial arts. I did Aikido, I did Tai Chi, some boxing, some kickboxing. I did many things in many years. I became more involved with Aikido. It fitted me more as a person with how it worked with soft work. But it always missed something for me, personally, until I found a video clip of Michael. I saw him working. I thought it wasn't real, so I looked for him. And when I found him, and just met him, I think I told you, I met him, he gave me a hand, and I already, he's the real deal. So, yeah, that's how everything started, yeah. I think the thing that attracted me the most was how free you are. It's really an art of how to be who you are. It's not about doing a technique or hiding behind certain kind of forms. So you could already hear I have a long history in martial arts, and it was all about posture, forms, and hiding behind that form in a way. It's not really hiding maybe, but it felt for me like that. And the problem I had with that, it was not really who you are. And this is one of the biggest part that attracts me to this art. Yeah. That you could be who you are. It's not especially the fighting or it's so many things. It's the healing, the freedom. You could be who you are, and you are powerful. You could be relaxed and powerful. I think that's the biggest thing. I think Systema is, if I would explain it very simple, you learn how to be very powerful by being yourself. That's for me, in few simple words, what this art is. Systema is being yourself is the most powerful state. I think also the biggest problem people have, I think people think martial arts is about fighting. it's nothing to do with fighting. I think if you talk about martial art, the word art is in it, so it's the art of how to conduct when something happens that gives you a fight or a potential danger. I think the biggest thing of martial arts is it's the art of dealing with stuff. Everybody fights. Even people who don't practice martial arts are masters in fighting in a way because they fight, fight, fight. But that's not an art. The art is that you know how to master that part, that you don't have to fight, that you can control that you don't lose yourself. The problem I think in every conflict is that you lose yourself. Even if you win the fight, but you lose yourself, you already lost the fight in a way. So it's very double in a sense. So I think most people have a different opinion what martial arts is. When I did business training, I told people, okay, I'm going to teach you martial arts. So most of you think something like, whoa! That's what we think about martial arts. Or we think about a fancy way of kicking somebody's ass. But I don't think is what martial arts is. Martial arts is the art of being, that you can conduct yourself in a way that you don't lose yourself in aggression, in violence, in pressure, stress. That's what martial arts is.
Knowing yourself in conflict.
Know yourself in conflict, yeah. Maybe that's the other nice word of what is Systema. Yeah. Knowing yourself. Wow, I like that one also. I turn the camera. What is Systema? Knowing yourself. Yeah, I like that. Wow, I think it's for everybody. There's not one answer, to be honest. So in this world, we try to find one answer for everybody. I think this is one of the mistakes nowadays in schools and in the whole thing that we're doing. We try to find one answer and it has to fit everybody. And it means that it fits only 10% of people and 90% doesn't fit really. From the 90%, maybe 50 or 60%, it will work from them. And the other percentage that is there, it doesn't work at all, or it just works a little bit. And only for 10% is really good. So it's for everybody personal, what will be working good for them. So it's not one answer. So if I would advise to give people one answer, be yourself, be honest in your work. Don't try to copy stuff, don't try to imitate it, just be who you are. And be very clear about what you want to get out of what you want to do. I think that's the most important thing. If you do something and you hope for something, but you don't know what do you practice? Yeah? Something like, oh, I'm going to walk home. But what is home? I don't know. I'm just keeping walking. So it's just luck that you find it home, isn't it? I think the good thing about asking questions is also asking yourself. You ask yourself the question. You ask the question also for yourself. You know, what defines me? What defines another one? So questions are good. The problem with question is if you want to be too much in the head with the question. It has to be a body-mind thing. It should be there in life. Every question. If it's just a thing in the mind, it's just words or just thoughts. So it should be more complete. So to be honest, I would not know what will be precisely me or not me. There's certain things that I strive for, certain goals. I think everybody has them in a way. Maybe not everybody can define them, but everybody has certain ideas about life, how they think it should be or not be. And that's, in a way, goals of our life. Yeah? You want to be happy, you want to find love, you want to have family, you want to be successful, you want to get some kind of prize. So everybody has goals in their life. And the definition of how you do that, the steps how you do that, that defines the kind of person you become, isn't it? Some people kill people to get certain things. Other people are doing it in a whole different way by helping people. So depending on who you are, that changes work or changes who's the definition who you are. And I think it will change, I don't want to say every week or every day or every hour, but it's not the same. So maybe the answer that I give you now will be a different one tomorrow or 5 minutes later because you said something nice to me. For me, it's not about what defines me, it's more what's the direction that I'm going. Maybe that's better because it's about flow more. It's not about, okay, this is who Arend is, but it will change every moment of the day. Everything that will happen to you changes, isn't it? If something happens to your kid, it can change your whole life, isn't it? So it's not a fixed thing who you are and what we do. That's something we think. You have a certain age, you develop who you are as a person and what you do. I don't really think that's the case. I sometimes hear the story about Vladimir that Michael was always different how he approached things. You never know what he would do. He was always different. Then you expect him to react to certain stuff like that. He did in a totally different way. Then you go, oh, now I see him 4 or 5 times, do 4 or 5 different things. He will do one of those things. He did something completely different again. So I think maybe you would say, I want to be free. So maybe what defines me, I try to be free in everything. But that's not true, of course. There's certain things that are more fixed, that are not changing that much, and other things are more. But at the same time, that's one of the things that I strive to, not to get locked, stuck at certain things. And I think the thing that I try to do is really make the connection between the inner work and the outer work. I don't believe in the who stuff, but I think the who stuff is not always connected to the body part, to life. And I think the inner work should be the same as the work we do in the physical world. If that's not connected with each other, it's not really inner work. It's just part of the work, but it's not connected. Every inner work is connected to the outside. So everything we do. So maybe that's a way, maybe, I don't know, you guys can say it better. That's more definition of what I'm doing. And not that other teachers are not doing it, but that's something I try to approach that more than other people sometimes. It's not that I'm the only one who's doing that, but that's something I'm always doing. I always try to make a link with daily existence, daily life. For me, it's how it embodies with everything, not only with practicing in the gym. It's with everything. So that should be maybe a little definition of who I am. That's not that much changing through the years. I mostly don't think about myself, how I am. It's more I have, of course, certain directions, certain things in life I strive to. But I think everybody has that in a way. Is it especially connected to Systema? Yes, because that's my big part of my life, who I am. But it is not only Systema. Like I said, it's martial arts for me is much bigger.
Yeah.
So sometimes I also say, okay, I chose this art as my vehicle, as the way to express. But yeah, it could be football, tennis, music. It will be the same approach. I could say I'm a lucky guy in a way. I had many ways I could go in my life with development. I chose martial arts because for me, martial arts highlights things in life. So highlights your qualities, your bad things. It highlights a certain opportunity or things that happens in life. And that martial arts is really good in. Even how you get injury, how you, like I told before, how you deal with stress, how you deal with love, reaction. Especially when you have good teachers, they sometimes really help you with that in a good and in a bad way. But I think that's something that martial arts really do. And of course that changes a lot. And my approach in the years, like I told you guys already, I changed the way how I teach. Every year I change. I get more because I also look at my students and I try to give what I learn at the same time. So I try to find out how can I give them those experiences, because not everybody had the same opportunities that I had, or the same meetings, or the same insights, or the same moments, and everybody needs something else. But I try to recreate moments or ideas in a way, so I create opportunities that we can learn. That's mostly what I try to do in teaching. Maybe it's not completely the right word, but I'm trying to search for words. It's not the best way to do in an interview, isn't it? To find words how to explain. But at the same time, it's very honest. It's very honest. I think this is one of the most amazing martial arts people can encounter if they really give it a chance. I think most people look over it because they think about, oh, it's not effective in a fight, or it's stupid, but it has so much to offer. If you talk about health, if you talk about mental clarity, about resting your body, about relaxation, I think it's one of the most amazing martial arts areas. Micha Ryabko and Vladimir Vassiljev brought something so beautiful to us, and I think sometimes people miss really the point. But I think it's mostly for myself. I talk about myself. I don't know about other people. I don't think it's difficult to learn. I think the problem is you are locking yourself all the time. And I'm a master of locking myself. I'm really bad about, I have certain kind of images, how you should fight, or how you should defend yourself, how you should deal with certain kind of stuff. So the plans and images you have is mostly from watching movies or reading books, or you listen to people who tell you certain kind of stuff, and you try to copy that. And that's why it makes it so hard. Yeah? It's not that difficult, but we make it very difficult because we are locking ourselves. You give it if you really let it happen and you don't interfere too much, it could go very quickly. I think you can learn in a half year to defend yourself really easily. Even how to deal with stress, health problems will change. We don't talk you are a professional fighter, that you are in the ring until against the UFC champion. We don't talk about that. We just talk about you have a chance to understand how to defend yourself. Also understand, when I talk about that, I don't talk about you being locked in a room with a guy with a knife. I'm not talking about that. I talk about that you recognize danger, you recognize tension, so you defend yourself in a more natural way. Yeah, you could be a master, but that takes a longer time. It means for every martial art. You could do UFC or kickboxing. You can learn that very quickly. I think in a year you can be very good at it. Are you a master? Most of the people will not be. Yeah, there's certain people who are very quick in learning and could be very good, but it's maybe in a few 100,000 one. Most people will take 10, 20 years to become good in certain martial arts, like it is in most. And I think Systema, depending on what you want to learn, could be quicker. For me personally. Yeah, I've seen people come to the class and the first couple of weeks they were amazing. Then they started to get an image how they want to learn and they were terrible. So you also know about that. They start and they do stuff and you're like, wow, oh, I think he's talented. And then he got some kind of image in his head and he started to screw up his whole martial arts in a sense. For me, it's more like somebody standing there looking a little bit agitated and you completely miss him. So you get stabbed because you didn't see the guy, you know, he's waiting for the victim. And that's really defense, self-defense, that you are aware of stuff. If you're not, maybe I can fight when something happens, but that it already happened means that you were not aware. So what does that tell about your defending skills? And it's not that other martial arts doesn't practice that, but Systema is really effective in that part, really effective. We are really busy with knowing yourself, knowing your tensions, and your body tensions warn you about danger. I love reading research papers, and I know about victims, women who are being raped. One of the hardest things for women when they're being raped is that they didn't trust their feeling. Most of them, or some of them, already knew that something bad would happen. It felt bad. So they had the feeling, shall I call home? No, it will be okay. And then something went wrong. And I think this is one of the things that everybody has. You have certain kind of sensitivity of feeling, something doesn't balance you, and that is very important. And in this art you learn to trust more of that. Like we're doing in the demo. It's nothing about what I see with my eyes, or it's just feeling. But you know what I mean. You're using your whole system to react. And mostly when you make mistakes, it's mostly because you underreact on what already was there. Yeah, you wait for a long time, you let the other one work. It's mostly like that. Yeah. It's amazing. I mean, we already talked about it. It's a whole different approach. It's completely not the way how many martial arts teach, and because of that it's very hard to understand, because we are used to understanding in a more Western way of teaching, the boxing way more, or the more harder martial arts, how to train. And this is a completely different approach. But it doesn't mean it isn't effective in his way of teaching. It's only a different approach, and also a different goal of what they want to have. For me, this is also one of the ways how people learn, You learn by talking with each other, asking questions, sharing stories. I learn always a lot by being with different teachers, different people, other practitioners. You share information. Sometimes somebody asks a question, you start to think about it because you never thought about it before, So you try to answer as honest as possible, and then it helps you also to understand certain topics better, or ideas, because it's more about understanding yourself, but also understanding the world around you, isn't it? Other people. Yeah. I think it's very cool to share. This is one of the things that I like when people invite me. It's not even only the teaching part, it's meeting people, talking with people, sharing knowledge, because it's all about sharing. It's not about, I'm the master, I teach you, this is how you should do it. That's not really martial arts in my sense. You teach by sharing. Teaching is sharing knowledge.